comes to Kenra Color Permanent, guys, like I said, we're all color coordinated. All silver will go with silver. So you're going to see that we have Kenra Color Lightener that's going to be in the silver tub. We have our Kenra Color Permanent that's in the silver tube. And then our developer that will always pair with them are going to be in the silver container. So you know, Kenra Color is going to be very gentle and it's low ammonia, so it really helps to deliver those consistent and reliable results. It is a full color portfolio, so you are going to have anything you're looking for when it comes to warm and cool shades, okay? Biggest thing here is that permanent color really helps and really should be utilized when we are covering gray. So we know, and we will dive into this a little bit deeper in a minute here, that our permanent color will give you 100% full gray coverage that you're looking for. When it comes to the developers in Kenra Color, it might be a little bit different than what you're used to. The developers are going to come in 10, 20, 30, and 40, but the biggest thing here is that our 10 volume developer is only going to be a deposit only, so that means it's going to give you a tone on tone. Your 20 volume developer is going to be a 1 level of lift and 1 level of deposit. So truthfully, guys, your 20 volume developer is the best decision and best choice when covering gray hair, especially if you're at 80% or more. 20 volume mixed with your N family member, so like your 1-to-1, one part of your permanent color to one part of your 20 volume will give you 100% gray coverage, okay? 30 volume is going to give you 2 to 3 levels of lift, and 40 volume will give you 3 to 4 levels of lift. One thing when it comes to 30 and 40 volume with our permanent color does not remove permanent color. So when we are lifting and we are choosing permanent color to lift the hair, we need to make sure that we are working with new growth or actually virgin hair. So again, permanent color will not actually remove permanent color. Okay? When it comes to the processing time, if you are just depositing or if you are just doing a normal application without gray coverage, your processing time is going to be 30 minutes. If you are looking for 100% full gray coverage, we are going to recommend leaving it on for up to 40 minutes. We never recommend heat with any of our products. Letting them sit room temperature is completely fine. It will give you full and max benefit out of the overall color. When you are mixing our permanent line, your mixing ratio will always be 1-to-1. So 1 part of your permanent color to 1 part of your chosen developer. All right, guys, so I know I've been talking a lot about gray coverage, but that's because ideally that's what our permanent color is meant for. So one thing I will share with you is this gray coverage chart, because this is going to be a foolproof method to make sure that you are always getting 100% coverage no matter what the formulation is. When we are working with somebody that has gray hair and we know that we need to really give them that saturation and coverage they need, number one thing we should be deciding is which N family member are we choosing, right? So you need to pick if you want natural, so our N, our natural ash, which is NA, our NB, which is natural brown or beige, and then NUA, which is natural ultra ash, or N plus, which is going to be our monochrome collection. We need to make sure that no matter what type of formulation we're doing, we have one of these N's in our formulation. The reason for that is because anytime we are covering gray, we need to take into consideration the amount of gray our client has. So one cool thing, if you look on the bottom of your screen where I am at, your color swatch books that should be available to you are going to have a swatch or a visual of what the percentage of gray in your client's hair is. Excuse me. If your client is 25, 50, or 75% gray, that needs to equal the amount or percentage of N that will be going into your formulation. So that means if you don't necessarily want to choose just a simple N formula and maybe your client wants to be a little bit more red than natural, then what we would do is we would look at our client and take into consideration how much gray does my client have. If my client is 25% gray, and we've matched it with the swatch so we can confirm that, if my client is 25% gray, then we know that we need to add in 25% of our natural series, and then the remainder of our formulation would be 75% of my R or red tonality that I've chosen. If my client is 50% gray, then we're going to do equal parts. We will put in 1 part or 50% of the N, and then the remaining of the formulation will be 50% of our red tonality that we've chosen. If my client is over 50% gray, then we need to make sure that we are utilizing 75% of our natural series and then 25% of our actual desired color. This formulation and these equations, guys, are going to be a foolproof method, so you're never getting hot roots, you're never mudding out the color or browning it out, but you are always going to get that overall desired tonality with that gray coverage that you're looking for. I'm going to pause, and I just want to check in. Anybody have any questions? Does that make sense? Perfect.
You check chat.
There's a couple of questions in the chat. One of the questions was, and we picked which ones were based on the color for the rest of the hair. Okay, Rachel says, and we picked which one we're using based on the color of the rest of their hair. Is that right, Rachel?
Yes.
Do you want to, Rachel, can I ask you to expand on that for a second? I apologize, because I think it was probably in conjunction with something I was speaking on, but I wasn't able to see the chat.
Like for the gray coverage, like if you're, I guess to say, like if it's a root touch-up, you said for gray coverage you use an N.
Yeah.
But what if like the rest of their hair, like I guess we pick if we're going to use a coolant or a warm in to the rest of their hair. Like if their ends are like a warm brown, we would use like a warm side of an N. And then can we mix other things into it? Like if they have like a red tint to their hair, we can always mix the ends with like a red or...
Absolutely. So yeah, really great question, Rachel. I just want to make sure I understand completely. If we are looking to match with the rest of the hair, so let's say they have an outgrowth and we really just want to match with the mid strands down, absolutely you can take anything in your permanent line and mix it with this N family member. The only way you have to mix an N with your overall red tone is if your client has gray. If your client doesn't have gray, then we don't have to worry about mixing that natural family member with them, okay? Also, if you are looking to refresh the ends, so let's say you've chosen your permanent color and your formulation is on, and now we need to refresh the ends and they have no gray, we have the same colors and the same shade options in demi, so you're able to choose your demi formula based on your root formula. Does that answer your question, Rachel?
Yes, thank you.
No, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, great. And Christopher's question is, would the N plus monochrome series become comparable to an NN? And the monochrome is intermixable, and is the monochrome intermixable with the other shades in our permanent portfolio?
Okay, really great question. So, Christopher, I'm actually going to hit the monochromes right this second. So I think that this will answer all of your questions right now. So, again, don't get dizzy. I have to start my presentation over, guys. But the monochromes, to answer specifically right off the bat, 100% yes, Christopher. They can be mixed with anything in our original kenra color, okay? So the original kenra color can absolutely be mixed with the 10 permanent shades. Now, regarding the question, is it comparable to an NN series? So it is not going to be double pigment. So is this going to be something that you can utilize for resistant gray hair? Absolutely. Is this something that you want to utilize when you need a little bit more saturation? 110%. But this isn't something that's going to have double the pigment. So overall, it's not going to give you a double dye load in the formulation. It's just going to give you more saturation, so it looks like you're getting better coverage, okay? Your monochrome collection is going to be 10 permanent shades that actually feature 5 natural shades and then 5 tonal family shades.